I am glad to announce a seminar in 2 parts on a fascinating new object in our solar system, Sedna. She was one of the most important discoveries in astronomy in the last decades, and it was accompanied by some extraordinary events. So many unusual phenomena came together around her discovery that I wanted to know if she had also a meaning in astrology. I started researching her early on, and this was quite a journey, and what I found very often took my breath away. In 2008 I published a book on Sedna, but it's only in Dutch. So in this seminar I want to share with you my findings and will give many examples. I think Sedna really has a message for our time. By comparing a number of photographs, the first taken at 6:32 am GMT and the last at 9:38 GMT, a new object in the sky was identified at the Californian Institute of Technology in Pasadena. That was on November 14, 2003. The discovery was announced on March 15, 2004. Normally an object is first given an official code, and then a long procedure follows to give the object a name. The International Astronomical Union is very strict about this, and those who do not follow the rules in this can be punished. Strangely enough, the discoverers of this object immediately gave it its name against all rules and named it at the presentation Sedna. And instead of being punished for this very quickly became the accepted name for this object. And even more surprising, the International Astronomical Union itself changed the rules to allow, in very special cases, to come up with a name earlier. And Sedna was such an exceptional case, because Sedna is not an ordinary object. Pluto's orbit around the Sun is 248 years. Sedna's orbit around the Sun is a whopping 11,513 years. Its orbit is very elliptical, and right now it is closest to the Sun and is at its fastest, but it's still very slow. Sedna appears to come from a region further away than the Kuiper Belt that surrounds our solar system. That region is called the Oort-cloud, an almost empty space, and for a long time it wasn't even clear whether the Oort-cloud really existed. With Sedna's discovery we now know for sure, and her discovery has made our solar system much, much bigger. It now extends into the coldest and thinnest regions towards the next star system. Sedna's discovery received a lot of press attention, much more than previous objects. Even school children want to know all about it. Sedna is an Inuit goddess of the sea and protector of man and nature. When she is angry because man has been dishonest, she reacts with violent storms and violent seas. March 2004, her discovery was made public. Christmas 2004 we saw a tsunami, and in 2005 Katrina. Is this a coincidence? The unusual object that expanded our solar system, the unusual procedure around her name-giving, the unusual strong manifestations of the sea, and the unusual big interest in her all over the world, and the name she got. This all could point from a Jungian point of view to important movements in the collective unconscious. And that alone would already be very interesting to research, and adding astrology could add another layer to it. So I started to study and analyze the myth of Sedna from the perspective of Jungian psychology, to see if the myth contains some core issues, and it does. From there I started collecting horoscopes of people whose life reflected one or more of those core issues, and I collected events reflecting Sedna issues, simply to see if Sedna in those charts was really involved. And oh yes, she was. And from the examples I derived ideas for a personal and mundane interpretation of Sedna. And I came to the conclusion that understanding the dynamic of Sedna can offer a tremendous help in finding a new balance between man and nature and masculine and feminine values. And by the way, this picture I took when cave diving, being in Sedna's realm. So here is what I will present in the two parts of this seminar. Seminar 1 has an emphasis on theory and psychology. To understand Sedna, we have to understand the symbolism of our solar system, and to understand the psychological meaning, we must understand what Jung meant with movements in the collective psyche. There are several Sedna myths, all slightly different, but one of them is my favorite. And that's the one we will look at and analyze the core issues. At the end, I will give two compelling examples. Seminar number 2 is Sedna in practice. Here we will look at many examples, both collective and individual, and draw our first conclusions about the meaning and message of Sedna, and you will discover that her discovery is a real message and warning for the world. So, let's take a dive in Sedna's world, and see you there.